Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world, and you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction. Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world, and you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction. Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world, and you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction. Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world, and you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction.
Good morning, judges. Kylie, good morning. Hello, team. Thank you. And this morning we are judging the wedding category in room 5. My name is Robin Hills. I will be your panel chair this morning. And my assistant will be Sarah McKenna. And at the back helping us, we've got Kenny, Kelly and Dave being our print handlers. Thank you so much. Yay. And our sponsor for this category is Paul Atkins from Atkins, and he's going to give us a word now.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just wanted to say that as a business, being in partnership with the AIPP is the best thing we've ever done. Our business is now 81 years old, and it's all about relationships. It's the only way you survive, and the long relationship with the AIPP is our intention. So drop by the stand, we make prints, we make frames and albums and stuff, so we'd love to see you all. Thank you.
Never taking your Grady one.
Thank you so much, well Paul.
Congratulations. You're wearing well.
You haven't seen me without the makeup.
Thank you, Paul. And on behalf of all of us at the AIPP, I'd like to say thank you for your sponsorship and support of APPA and the AIPP in general. I would also like to thank and acknowledge Olympus, Aon and Panasonic as platinum sponsors of APPA. Your support of this entire event is very much appreciated. And I'd like to introduce our judges that are with us this morning. We've got Jerry Johannes. He told me I could say whatever I liked about him, including that he'd won second prize in the beauty contest in Monopoly. So he is an Australian who spends most of his time now, I think, in the USA. And he's a master with 5 gold bars and about to become a grandmaster. Yay! Celebrating early here. We have Kylie Lyons from Camden, New South Wales, and she's a master with 1 bar, and she's also an honorary life member of the Institute. Alan Moyle from Victoria, and he's a master with 3 bars. Nathan Madigan from Perth, and he's a master, and he's also the current Western Australia Wedding Photographer of the Year. David Oliver, who is a Grandmaster from the Hunter Valley, and a grandfather, apparently, but a very young-looking one. Andrew Esposito from Melbourne, and he's a master with 1 gold bar. 4 gold bars? Wow. How did that happen? Well done. And Kelly Tunney, who's from Canberra, and she's a master with 2 bars, and she's the current ACT Wedding Photographer of the Year. So we have a very esteemed set of judges here to review your images for you. So with that, could we please have the first print? Thank you. We have our first silver award for the morning, 82. And could we get Kylie to make a comment for the photographer? They're all up. She's over there. Well, they should be over here. He went away.
Hello. Oh, sorry, I'm back now. Hello, everybody. This is a place that I can relate to very, very well because it's in my hometown. And to get a position of a bride like this with such symmetry and no other people around is quite unusual. So the lighting's nice. Perhaps if the photographer gave it a bit more punch, contrast in the background, we might be able to go further.
Thank you very much, Kylie. And next print, please. Thank you, Kylie, for asking that question. Yes, just to clarify, this is the single capture wedding category. Thank you very much. And this print scores 77. David, could we get a comment from you to assist the photographer?
Interesting composition. Wow, that's loud. But the bride, I would like to have seen a little bit more animation to help us with seeing the emotion.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have by majority score of 79. Kylie would like to challenge. She's on 84. And you're working with an 83, a 79, a 78 and 77.
Okay. What I enjoyed about the image is that every face is telling the story. No one is really covered up. The position of the photographer at the time was just perfect. We've got good detail. There doesn't look to me like there's been flash. It looks like it's utilising the light that's there. And so the detail is actually really, really quite nice. Good expression, good animation, good flow between the girls, and I just love that one of the girls has still got her phone in her hand while still grabbing, so it's that comedy factor as well. I've given it a very solid silver, and I'd like to reward the photographer.
Thank you very much. And could we hear from Alan on 77?
So as far as up to the award standard, I'd expect a little bit more. There's some of the retouching, especially on the left side, just bringing up the shadows, just seems to not be handled as well as it could be. Also, the hair of the girl on the far left kind of does blend into the background and sort of disappears. And then to come up into the award standard, I want everybody looking and paying attention, whereas on the right side, you've actually got a group of people who are not participating at all. They're just not looking. So again, a really great image, great capture, everything's there, just not at that award standard.
Thank you. And Kelly on 83.
Yeah, strong support with you too, Carls. Just to address what you said, Alan, I think in this moment you're going to have people that are like the boys in the background. They're like, I hope my girlfriend's not going to catch this because then I'm got to marry her, and someone else is not engaging because they're already married. But the sheer chaos and fierceness of this girl at the front is just hilarious, and everything that you pointed out is so great. This is hard to capture as well. This is more than just professional practice. To shoot this in these crazy lighting situations. They've done it really well, and they've captured, everything in their personalities and the reception. I think it's a silver as well.
Thank you. Kylie, back to you.
Yeah, I think Kelly's probably captured everything else I could say, but to address the hair in the background, there is enough separation for my mind from the speaker or whatever she's in front of. But like Kelly said, in an instant like this, we've got a great energy, and I'd like to reward that with a silver.
Thank you. Kelly's score of 84 is locked in. The current... Kelly, you girls shouldn't have sat together. Thank you. And the current majority score is 79. Judges, please rescore now. Thank you. And it goes to 82, silver award. Thank you. Next print, please. Scores, please, judges. Nathan, can you just check yours? Thank you. We have a silver award, 81. And Nathan, seeing as you were taking so much time to deliberate, can we have a comment, please?
Yeah, I took so much time because it's an everyday image, but the punch of the dad adds so much story and so much character that I sat right on the edge. It's professional practice. We shoot this all the time, but there's just this other thing that I'm feeling, and it's a strong feeling, and that tells me that there's more happening there. This is an award standard because of so much character and attitude on this human in with the detail of the dress, and it was actually rendered really beautifully in all those little details.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 75. David, could we hear from you, please?
Yes, it's all those highlights competing with the bride's face and expression. And I just think it's just too strong, too overdone in the contrast. Just a tad less would have helped, I think.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 76. Kelly, could we have a comment, please?
Yeah, a beautiful location. I just think it's just that decisive moment's just missing. It's like the in-between kiss. It's sort of a little bit awkward connection between the two. So just watch that.
Watch the timing. Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 76. Thank you, Nathan. Yes.
I'd love to talk about this. It got the score it deserved, but what the photographer saw in this image is so great. I see the story on the left as really incredible. The woman on the left nailed us with a look at the camera. The disinterested expression on the guy's face on the left is incredible. It's so beautiful. This is such a wedding story, but all the lighting and tones push us to the right, which isn't as strong as all of the characters in this story. This could have been rendered a little bit differently and brought to a whole different level, I reckon.
Okay, so what's your production techniques? Lovely. Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have a by majority score of 79. and your scores are quite close together, so it will go for review at the end of the category. Kylie, could we have a comment?
I enjoyed the etchiness of the production of this image, but I felt that the bride and groom were just getting a bit lost. They need to have a little bit more contrast perhaps to come out.
Thank you very much. And we're going to start our judge changes. Alan, thank you. And we're going to have Jerry come in. So we're going to rotate quite often so you all get a turn and stay fresh and on the ball. And Alan's been doing a great job already. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have a by majority score of 79, and the scores are quite close, so it will also go for review. Nathan, can we have a comment?
Yeah, this is as high professional practice as I could rate without awarding it. And I think there's too much in this picture that's needed. The story here is between these two. We know that there's a wheelchair, that we know that there's a bride, so that's a strong story, but I felt like there was more than we needed in this frame.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 75. And could we hear from Kylie?
I think it's a saleable image for the bride and groom, but it's the post-production that needs a little bit of work, especially around the bride's nose. There's some highlights there that are very uncomfortable.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 81, silver award. Jerry, a comment?
Wow. Very high degree of difficulty here to get that kind of lighting sort of quite even, and those varied expressions are very beautiful. I would strongly encourage, if we're entering this in another competition, perhaps anywhere else in the world, crop that top. It's unnecessary, and get rid of that pizza bar sign. I think that would make it a lot stronger.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79, and it's quite close, so it will go for review. David, could we have a comment from you?
Yes, I thought this was well constructed. Composition was interesting. these are elements that we see at a wedding, but to put it together as a group of 4, I thought it was cleverly done.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. So just for our audience that's in the room with us, good morning, and also good morning to our online listeners. Just to explain, when I announce a score of a majority score, it means it's a team decision. So there's 5-point score ranges that we work within, and there has to be at least 3 judges in the same score range. So if someone's sitting with a calculator working out what the average score is, it may be 1 or 2 points different than the announced majority score. So it is a team decision, and if the judges are too far away, we'll have to talk about it. But when they're close together, it's the majority score. And we have an average score of 81, silver award. Thank you. Nathan, a comment?
Yeah, this is a really brave image. From a distance, there's this beautiful shape of a wedding dress, there's symmetry and lines. The story is actually the foliage. There's a lot of beautiful things going on. I would have pushed it higher if some of the finer treatments, the highlights, the muddiness could have been just pulled up a little bit. I love this viewpoint. This is beautiful.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 84, silver award. And David would like to challenge, but he can't. So it is on the break point. So the print will go for review to the next room at the end of this session. So David, maybe we can get you to talk about it, because I'm sure the entrant would love to know what you saw in the photograph.
Yes, presentation was just fantastic. The way they've all been cut and pasted and presented, 10 out of 10 for that. But the pictures are great as well. You know, you go through each picture and they're all really, really relevant to what happens on a wedding day. Beautifully printed as well.
Thank you very much. All right, so look out for your photo in the next room in the reviews. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79 by majority. Sorry, a majority score of 79, and it will go for review at the end. Could we have a comment from Kelly, please?
Yeah, I love the design in this is amazing, and it's powerful and it's punchy in its colours. It's just that silhouette is just needing so much finesse around the edges. Address some of that, and it would have gone a bit higher.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 77. Jerry, a comment, please.
I think it's fun and playful, but perhaps not so purposeful.
And how could the photographer?
I just think it's a kind of image that it's fun. It's great for the album. It's a gimmicky thing. I say that with absolute respect.
Mhm.
I just don't think that there's anything could be done to it to bring it to that range. Not the kind of image that will be rewarded well, but great and fun for the couple. Perhaps they're selfie enthusiasts like most of us are. So it's a fun shot.
Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 78. Lovely. David's going to challenge this time because he is more than 5 points from the average.
Sort of the texture in this is quite nice, and I'm enjoying the flatness because that's difficult to do. It's probably easier to make a contrasty picture in black and white with pure blacks and whites, but to get that softness and detail, and then I looked at the eyes and I thought, wow, there's an emotion in those eyes, and I thought that was really well captured, and it is beautiful lighting. You've got to look through and see that little triangular shadow under the right eye of the bride, and I think that's difficult to do as well. So, yeah, I'd like you to sort of consider maybe a couple of more marks to give it a silver.
Thank you. Kylie on 76.
I originally saw this as professional practice. It's an image that we should be getting at a wedding, and I just wondered if that flatness technique was adding anything, and I didn't think it was. And when you get up close, there's a couple of reflections from the bodice, which was a little bit distracting, and I wonder if, but I'm being very, very particular now, so I'm listening, David, and it's probably quite easy to move.
Thank you. And can we hear from Jerry? Thank you.
I'm enjoying the direction of light. I also really appreciate the finish of the print. I have no problem with that at all. After the eyes, the hands are the most expressive part of the body. So we have this very, very strong arm that is posed in a way that's strong, that almost contradicts the delicate nature of her look and her expression, which I actually quite enjoy. The way the nose is cropped makes you feel like the nose goes on forever as well. So I feel it's a gorgeous image. Arguably cropped a lot tighter would be better for it, but the finish of it, the expression, the lighting, very nice.
Thank you. Back to you, David.
Jerry, I love the way you talked it up. I love that hand. It's very soft. I agree, the cropping, we don't need all that bottom, but I'm not going for silver distinction. I'm just going for a silver to reward the effort that this photographer's put in and the skill that it takes to capture eyes, which is that's the hardest part, the windows to the soul, and they're captured beautifully.
Thank you. David's score of 83 is locked in. The current average is 78. Judges, please rescore now. And 80, silver award. Thank you. And we're going to have another judge change. Kelly, thank you so much. And Andrew Esposito is going to come and join us. And next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 76. Can we hear from Nathan, please?
Yeah, I'm just good moment, professional practice moment. I'm seeing motion blur. The lines are conflicting for me. My eye keeps getting drawn to the fist and the lights. A lot of distraction. I'm struggling to stay on the focus. So there are technicals and composition issues, I guess.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 82. And Nathan would like to challenge it. He's on 88. Thank you. You've got quite a range to work with. 2 83s, an 81 and a 77.
Excellent. Well, 82 is a good beginning. I think this really sits in silver distinction. We're talking single capture, and whether or not the photographer deliberately set some characters up for these reflections, then we could use the word contrived, but it wouldn't even begin. This is the core of a wedding photographer is to start with an idea and then finish with the execution of that. And the idea is the most powerful piece of their journey. And if they set this up, then it's still authentic. Our eyes immediately to the story at the door, which is a classic moment of father and bride, and the father adjusting that. That shows a lot of compassion, sending his daughter off to a new world. Beautiful, beautiful story. And then we eventually fall into the darkness, which isn't completely dark. There's detail there, and the loss of the mother. There's a lot of story here, and I could talk for a long time, but I'd rather just hear a bit from you guys down in the low ends, and we can talk about it a bit. I really think this sits in silver distinction for single capture. It's a powerful image.
Thank you. Kelly, 77.
Yeah, it's a really nice sequence, a nice time of evening.
Yeah, I think for me it was the bride's expression. She's actually got a, there's obviously a moment with the mother perhaps in the mirror and the dad helping. I can see all that story, but I can just feel that it's too set up for me, and that feeling that contrived sort of in her expression is not there, and she's going out the door without her mum, and it just feels a bit set up. I think some of the line across the bottom bothers me a little bit. The treatment, I guess, is not quite right for me either. And so that's where I was at for 77.
Thank you. David on 83.
Yeah, I think to take it to the silver distinction, I'd like to see some more emotion from the father of the bride and the bride. That part does look staged. I love the picture of the mother in the reflection, but I feel that she's actually dominating the picture as well. I think if that was printed down to match everything else on that wall, it would have been a little better for me. I would have a little bit more believable, I guess. But I still think it's great capture, and that's why I've given it a silver, but I'm struggling to go that little bit further.
Thank you. Back to you, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Bride's expression, I hear you. She's happy. She's walking out the door. She may not care as much about what her parents, she's happy. She may not care particularly about the parents. What we're seeing on the left in all of those frames, though, is the entire family history, and there are other daughters who are already married, or kids who are married, so this is possibly the last daughter to go as well. So there's a lot of story weaved into this. No, I hear the technicals. I can't really argue with them. I think that our focus stays on what's important, which is the characters, the shapes, and I think the expressions are authentic enough. I think they tell the story strongly. But thank you. We're a team, so we will come up with a very good score. If we can even push it to 84, 85, then this will go to review, and Fresh Eyes might get it to silver distinction as well. I love it on 88, so I'm strong on that.
Thank you, Nathan. Nathan's score is locked in at 88. The current average is 82. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to 83. So, silver award. Thank you, judges, for doing the double shuffle. And next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79. Jerry would like to challenge. Jerry's on 86. You're working with a 79, 78, 78, 76.
All right, guys, it's going to be a struggle to get to 86, but I'm going to try my best. Look, obviously, you're looking at the print quality. You're looking at the muddy, the greys there on the left where the ladies are and all that kind of thing. I totally get it. That's why I didn't actually go beyond what I got. But this is an incredible moment. Certainly, should we be getting this shot as a professional? Yes, but would we have all got this exact moment where it's almost about the about the father than the bride? You've got the peanut gallery there, the gossiping aunties that are looking on with that as well. It's just an incredible moment. I even love the lighting that actually makes it more dramatic. You've got the light coming from the left and the right, giving a bit of a shadow in the middle of the father's face. And I like the way that it's just, again, it's all about him. And she's actually consoling him than it being about sort of her moment. So I guess I like the originality in the moment. And I like the fact that we've got the ladies in the background there giving us that extra element of story. So yes, there's some problems, I get it. But I'm rewarding that moment captured.
Thank you. And over to Andrew on 78.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm looking at this beautiful image as well. I understand all the comments from Jerry, and thank you for that. It's the actual lighting on the father's face on the left and the right that actually didn't make me get that quite across. It is a beautiful moment. I understand all that, and it's perfect. But it could have been handled just a little bit more to bring it to silver with distinction for me.
Thank you. David on 76.
Yeah, the first thing I look at, and I agree with all those things that you both said. I mean, the expressions, the capture, fantastic. Lighting, love that lighting. But the post or the beam coming out of the father's head was the first thing I looked at. It takes your eye goes straight there. I can't not look at it. And it could have been removed by cropping or retouching. I think that might be allowed in this category. I'm not sure, but even cropping might have brought home those expressions, and then I would have been on this for 80 for sure, or even higher. I agree with you.
Thank you. And back to Jerry.
So I totally agree. Not a perfect picture, not a perfect post-production. It's a perfect moment. That's really it. I'm asking you to come up at least 1 point. Let's save the next room a bit of trouble here. Let's reward the moment.
Thank you very much. Jerry's score of 86 is locked in. The current average is 79. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to 81, silver award. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 84, silver award. Thank you. And a comment, Nathan?
Sure, this is a beautiful anti-wedding shot. I love this shot for all the reasons that a perfect wedding shot goes up to high silvers. This should go equally as high. It's a real moment. There's true expressions. Every person resonates with this. Well seen, well captured, and the treatment is beautiful. All the highlights, all the subtleties are there. Cloud references in their faces to the background. This is a great shot.
Thank you. Jerry just commented he would give it a title. Pretty ugly. And also this print will go for review in the other room. It's on the break point, so it lives a little longer. Thank you, judges, for your comments. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 75. And could we hear from David?
Look, it's a good fun shot, but I think you need to sort of take this a little bit further. Print quality is probably letting it down, and I think that would have helped to get it over the line.
Thank you very much. And Jerry, you can have a little break. Thank you very much. And we're going to bring Alan back in. Keep you all hopping around. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79. Andrew is on 84. He's 5 points away from the average. He's going to challenge. And you've got an 83, 78, 77, 75.
So I've got my work cut out. As soon as this image turned around, it just spoke to me. It is beautiful. It's probably one of the most difficult situations.
Andrew, can you just talk right into the microphone?
Sure.
We can adjust the volume from
Sure.
here. Otherwise, they can't hear you in the
Good.
room or on live stream. Thank
As
you.
soon as this image turned around, it had an impact on me. It is beautifully handled in a situation where one would be very difficult to take images in that sense, and to put such, let's just call it as a chemistry and lighting and such, that spotlight for me does it, because it's in the centre. It's the point of focus that brings me to, you know, hopefully the groom is on right at the on that spotlight with that hand pushing in, say I'm getting married, and all these heroes are jumping up in the air, and beautifully done and beautifully handled. I'd like to see that go to a silver, purely because, one, the difficult moment or the situation that the photographer placed themselves into, and delivering this imagery, because it speaks to me.
Thank you. And we're going to hear from Nathan on 75.
Yeah, this had immediate impact for me as well, because it made me angry. The idea is so strong, and the pose is so strong, and the attitude is so strong, and what an excellent image. But it was a constructed image. They could have jumped again. They could have jumped.
Sorry,
so the light was...
this is a single capture category.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so they could have jumped twice. They could have done that pose again. Just that light was behind the groom, because it's distracting me. That even if they had to hold on to this one, maybe black and white could have saved it. But the technicals are pulling me out, because I love this image so much, but I can't get past the highlights, the colour shifting across the groom, the bright points where there shouldn't be bright points. The expressions on the face are beautiful, but I'm lost in all the extras around the edges. I'm down on 75, and I pushed to high 70s, but I don't want to award this yet, because it deserves to be finished again better. Like this, the photographer is amazing, but this print isn't.
Thank you, Nathan. Kylie's on 83.
I rewarded this a silver, and I think you have to forgive that brightness. It is required. We're talking about grown men here who are wearing superhero clothes, so they're still living a childhood, and that bright light is giving that reflection and rainbow effect, which is in turn mirroring the colours not only in their shirts but in the tunnel that they're in. And I think the gaudiness of the colour and that bright hot spotlight is actually adding to that image and working really well with the expressions that you said are actually quite priceless. For me, I also enjoyed the shadows that hot spotlight is creating on the side, still bringing us back in to those crazy faces. I see the Big Bang Theory and seeing grown men, you know, acting as boys and rewarding it with a silver.
Thank you. Andrew, anything to add?
Let's bring it across to silver. It deserves it as far as I'm concerned. And I say congratulations to the author. And thanks for bringing those points across as well, because I think that even looking at the greens and almost the shadows, almost like a vignetting effect to hold that in, I would put that in an advertising shot other than a wedding shot. I'd be proud of that because it's really difficult to handle and it's well done.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew's score of 84 is locked in. The current average score is 79. Judges, please rescore now. And by majority, it goes to 79. So it did go up by 0.6%. So you never know. It will go for review at the end. And just to remind you, judges, if you do want to make a difference to the score, you have to go to the next score range. But and that's okay if you didn't want to. Every score is valid and every opinion is valid. And so another 5 judges will look at your print in the next room at the end of this category. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 88. And David would like to challenge. You've got some company. David's on 95. Alan's on 93. You've got an 86 and 2 82s.
Absolutely. This is gold. 40 years of photographing weddings. I haven't seen this shot before. The expressions on all those people. They're coughing, they're choking. This is a fun shot. And the photographer's captured all those expressions. Beautifully printed. The quality of this image is outstanding. And when you see something different in the wedding category, we've got to reward these pictures. This is photojournalism. This is fantastic. This is just it's even more than a wedding picture. It's just incredible. All those expressions. The composition of the smoke even works. The car going out of the picture, blowing the smoke. No, I want 95 for this. I'm not content with silver, gold. 95.
Thank you. We're going to hear from Nathan on 82.
Yeah, sure. I'm definitely listening. There's really nothing wrong with this image. Everything you said resonates. It's so great. I keep struggling with the driver. It looks like an arm and no head, and I just it's a small thing, but I'm just what is going on there? And a bit of softness of the faces of some of these people, but they're really you can talk me out of that, I'm sure, because this is a really strong single capture, powerful image. So I'm listening.
Thank you, Alan on 93.
Yeah, again, just the almost symmetry of this as well. So it's been set up, to be a fairly symmetrical shot with the 2 windows either side, but that's slightly off. So again, adjusting that composition so it's not absolutely perfect. Like, I'm not going to address how the smoke, the brilliance of all that kind of stuff, because David has already done that. I'm just going to point out a few extra things that technically amazing. Your eye flows perfectly through this frame, and yeah, just the expressions just on the bride and groom alone. Perfect day, and it's like, this is the story of the day.
Thank you. Back to you, David.
The humour we can't see the driver's head. I reckon he's trying to hide. He's embarrassed, all that smoke coming out of the back of his little Fiat. And he's a big guy. You're not going to see much of any driver in those cars. I mean, that's the real Fiat. And that's what I'm enjoying that humour and all those expressions. I mean, it's all there. This is totally original. Let's go to town on this one.
Thank you. David's score of 95 is locked in. The current average is 88. Judges, please rescore now. And by majority, it goes to 95. Gold with distinction. Nice teamwork. Nice listening to each other. Well done. Thank you. Deep breath. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 76. And a comment, please, from Kylie.
Cute little moment of this girl, which is just taken away by the distracting elements of the people behind. So perhaps a crop might help it out.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 81, silver award. Andrew, a comment, please.
Yes, congratulations to the author. Absolutely amazing. I would have brought that a little bit higher if, say, that shadow would have been just across a little bit more, not cutting into the edge of the shoulder. But it didn't bother me the way that it was in that sense. But with that tiny little bit more of a shift, it would have made it possibly a little bit stronger.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 77. And could we have a comment from David?
Yeah, I think less contrast would have worked a lot better with this image. And the little boy's face is really white because of the high contrast.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79. David's going to challenge. David's on 85. You've got an 82, 78, 76, 74.
Yeah, I think this is a really well found picture, and to control the lighting coming through the window, I think the photographer's handled this quite well. I love the print quality, the composition. Well found. Yeah, I'd love to see more animation from the bride. she's a little bit static, but if we had have had a bit more emotion there, I would have been going higher. But I just think it's a nice picture. I'd love to see it go to at least a silver.
Thank you. We've got Kylie on 74.
Yeah, I scored this 74. Professional practice, beautiful location. What worried me was the spill of light that came over the front of the bride, and so her dark hair is actually quite grey, which is a little bit unfortunate. But as you say, David, beautiful found location.
Thank you. And hearing from Nathan on 82.
Yeah, I'll add a bit of support to it. I scored a low silver, 82. I thought it was worthy of that because this is a dress shot. The bride mannequins well. She's almost a silhouette, and her expression feels soft and ready for the day. But the structure and the tones of this whole print, I feel rest in silver for me. We've got... I think the brightness is deliberate, it's treated well. The spill around the bride means that the bride herself inside the dress looks a bit like the curtains around her, this great soft contrast. All the detail is in the dress, and there's this feel of entering into the bright new world as well. It's the beginning of the day, it's the metaphor of the start of a wedding as well. There's a lot going on that I thought should at least sit in an awarded range for the art of it.
Thank you. David, back to you.
It's very subtle. It's the colour harmony as well, I think, that works for me. I think this is just more than an album shot. This would be front cover. I think it's... I'd love to see this at least get a silver instead of, taking a chance with it.
Thank you. David's score of 85 is locked in. The current average is 79. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to 82, silver award. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 78. And a comment, please, Andrew.
As soon as this image turned around, I absolutely loved it. It looks amazing close-up, and it looks amazing from a distance. Certainly enough, I would have scored it a little bit higher into possibly the distinction range if it was handled differently in the printing.
So what do you suggest? What do you mean differently?
Just take care of the things like on that side, which is a little bit darker, and there's not much details in the black.
Okay, thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 71. And Alan, can we have a comment from you, please?
This technique can work really well, but we need to actually have something that's happening. There's just sort of nothing really happening in this shot apart from some people, some expressions, but we have no idea what's really happening. And we obviously have, there's one guy with a bow tie, so we assume a groom, but again, nothing out there. So really need to find a new moment for this technique.
Thank you very much. And Jerry, if you're happy to come up, David, thank you. We'll give you a little break for a moment. Thank you. You've been doing a great job. Jerry's going to come back and join us. Next sprint, please. Thank you. We have a silver award 83. And Kylie, a comment?
Another one of those great outtakes, and the key for me was the poor nun in the wheelchair. I had a little bit of a chuckle. Well printed, good contrast, so a nice capture.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79. Andrew would like to challenge. Andrew's on 84. You've got an 82, 78, 77, 75.
Once again, congratulations to the author. When this print turned around, it had so much in it for me to say, wow, there's so much information in the expressive, communicative and communication skill in this. Yes, certainly enough, most of us will probably say, could we crop it differently? I think it's beautifully done, and there is so much happening in this image. If you were to look closely, it's nicely detailed and nicely printed. So I'd like to see this go to silver.
Thank you. Kylie on 75.
That's where I have to disagree with you. I think it's been not handled well. I think it looks heavy-handed to me. They've tried to tone down the background to bring us to those faces, and it's starting to look muddy. And the poor woman on the left, she's so hot and bright because of her white hair that I'm drawn to her, and I'm forgetting about the others. I just think that the moment's there, but it's the handling that's not at its best.
Thank you. Jerry's got a comment on 82.
Yeah, I'll give it 82. I love this moment. There's a direction of light certainly coming from the side, and obviously the light is not just hitting the background. So sometimes we may confuse heavy-handed Photoshop just for the sake of the light not actually falling on the background. What I love is that these women aren't quite right, and the candelabra actually says exactly that as well. You've got the candelabra a little bit off-center, not quite right, emulating these three ladies' moment. I think it's really, really clever. Very, very well found.
Thank you. Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you for that, and also taking consideration all the comments that you judges made. That was fantastic. If we have a look at the vignetting on top and the vignetting down the bottom, slightly made, we have a clear highlighted area where the message is delivered, and I think that works absolutely amazingly for this print.
Thank you. Andrew's score of 84 is locked in. The current average is 79. Judges, please rescore now. And by majority, it stays at 79. Thank you. And it will go for review at the end of the category. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 81, silver award. Thank you. And can we have Alan? Can you tell us what you saw in the photo?
Yeah, great idea, great concept. This just all works well. I think making sure that, especially the highlights on the bride are really kind of blown out. I don't actually mind the darkness of this image in the bottom. I think it works with this contrast and composition. It's just those highlights could have been brought down a bit.
Thank you. Another judge is nodding as well. Something to revisit. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 80, silver award. And a comment. Thank you, Jerry.
Really well seen. I love this. The fact is that sometimes we've got more expression here from shoes and the expression of the feet rather than some faces. So I think this is actually well seen, well found, and it's just cool in its simplicity.
Thank you very much. And Nathan, thank you. We're going to give you a little break, and Kelly's going to come back and join us. Thank you. Thank you for your work. And next print, please. Thank you. We have by majority a score of 85, silver with distinction. Thank you. And if we could have a comment from Kylie.
I think this is the epitome of single capture photography for weddings, printed beautifully. Verticals are vertical. We've got beautiful lines, and I'm just enamoured by the quality of this image. It's just lovely. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79. Andrew would like to challenge. He's on 84. You've got an 82, 2 77s and a 76.
We're nearly there. Beautifully handled. I love this image when it turned. The composition is absolutely amazing for me. It looks beautiful. Even where the author has placed the bride and groom, just to highlight the beautiful message that it brings across with the subtlety of the communications and the actual emotion happening there, and held together nicely with the beautiful vignetting around, the softness of it all, and the colour palette to this is absolutely beautiful. So I'm looking for silver.
Thank you very much. Kelly, 76.
Yeah, I'm just a bit distracted by those posts in that foreground. They're sort of dominating the couple for me because they're so small. And I think it's just that maybe lack of connection between the two.
Thank you. And can we hear from Kylie on 82?
No, I was with Andrew on this. I enjoyed the leading lines. I found those posts, they sort of mirror the bride and groom, but then we're led into them, and it was that softness and darkness that brought us into the bride and groom, and I thought there was enough emotion and connection between them to give it a silver, and the beautiful printing quality. I think it was lovely.
Thank you. Andrew's score of 84 is locked. Oh, sorry. Your right of reply. My apologies.
I'd like to see it to silver, guys. As soon as this print turned around, I tried to imagine removing the posts, and I thought it would not have the same graphic communication to this image. If we look at the posts themselves, they've been painted white on top, and there's a chain leading to the bride and groom. To me, that works absolutely amazingly and beautifully balanced to bring our attention to the centre of that. And I looked closely, and I looked at the expression that the bride and groom bring, and it's a just beautiful moment. Absolutely.
Thank you. Andrew's score of 84 is locked in. The current average is 79. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to 81, silver award. Thank you. Next print, please. Thanks, judges. This print scores average of 78. Alan, thank you.
Great print, great concept. Positioning of the bride and groom in the doorway if the bride's head wasn't being cut off, and also possibly a bit better crop would help this.
Thank you. Kylie's nodding as well. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 83, and Andrew would like to challenge. He's on 92. You've got 3 82s and a 78.
Wow. What can I say? Congratulations to the author for bringing us a beautiful image to look at, to tell us that this day was absolutely a devastating day for this bride, possibly. It's raining.
Andrew, sorry, can you just turn this way a bit more? And
Sure. That way?
Oh.
I'll
Sorry.
speak. That way. That way.
And right into the microphone. We're
Okay.
just trying to eliminate that feedback
cool.
and hear you. It's really important. We'd like to hear.
Possibly the communication in this is that it's a devastatingly horrible day to get married. And the car is full of rain, and it has so much beautiful detail on that alone to bring us beautiful print quality, I think. Also, the bride herself, just by looking out and not showing herself completely to say, should I really be getting out of this car to get married today? And it's beautifully handled. The lighting is brilliant. It's beautifully done. And if we look at where the bride's head has been placed so strategically to support the way that she looks by the opposite window on the other side to bring that soft palette of colour, and so beautifully done and soft focused and held together, so nicely cropped, but the beautiful colour on top as well in greens.
Thank you. And Kylie on 78.
For all those reasons, I just put it into professional practice. I felt the crop was too much. It needs to come off the 2:3 ratio. I find that little bit of window on the left distracting. I find the background greenery distracting. The light that we've got on the bride's face, if it is the bride, it could be a bridesmaid, but that's beautiful, and there's enough rain on the actual car to know what the weather's doing. I just felt that the image is there, but we've got to come in closer to concentrate on that face a bit more.
And Jerry on 82.
When I first saw the image come around, I thought, oh, what a shame that green, that little bit of air above the car is actually there. Then I went closer and saw the droplets, and I'm like, you know what, that actually quite makes sense. And then the more I look at it, the highlight on the maroon car, whatever you call that colour, is balanced by the highlight on that cream as well. So graphically, I think it's actually very strategic and it's very clever. I like the almost the natural vignette, the fact that the actual girl is sort of placed sort of inside the car, so it's sort of darkening and keeping your light in the face. So really, I can't really see much wrong with it. But when I get into that silver distinction gold range, I always look for keywords in that in those words in the descriptions, and the word imagination, creativity, and all those things. I feel like this has been done before, certainly, but it's done exceptionally well. I'm hovering up to 84 here, but you'll have to convince me to go up there, mate.
Andrew? Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you. I'm just thinking out loud. It is absolutely, thinking in my own head, sorry. It is absolutely well done as far as I'm concerned. And yes, I do feel that window on the left needs to be there to hold it together, to highlight and bring us to the attention that the bride brings to us. If we look very carefully, right on the other side of of the window itself, there is a dark area to hold the other window on that side. And like Jerry said, we do need a highlight on top, we do need a highlight down the bottom, and we need some kind of colour to bring the motive and the visualisation that bright brings, because that is definitely for me not a 78 which states an approaching award level. I feel this is way above an approaching award level.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew's score of 92 is locked in. The current average score is 83. Judges, please rescore now. And by majority, it goes to 84. So congratulations, silver award. And it will go for review, so every point counts. Thank you, judges. Next print, please. Just jog up to the screen if you're going to have a look. We want to save time for fabulous conversation about these beautiful images. By majority, we have a score of 79, and the scores are quite close together, so it will go for review. We'd like a comment, Alan.
Great concept. Everyone's posed well. There's just processing, or there's something that's happening here which is kind of taking the clarity and sharpness away, which we need.
So review how
you've processed your file.
Processed. Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have by majority a score of 79. Andrew would like to challenge on 85. You've got an 81, 78 and two 77s.
Cool. What a beautiful image once again when it turned. So beautifully interpreted in the sense of a particular architectural shot and done so perfectly, I feel. Could have been almost a little bit more perfect for me if those highlights would have been handled more on the ceiling as such. But then strategically placing a beautifully handled silhouette. I would have brought this a little bit higher because there's a little bit of a bright spot behind the bride's mid-waist. Otherwise this would have gone for me probably to a gold if it was handled.
Thank you. Can we hear from Alan on... sorry, I might hear from Jerry on 77.
Certainly has impact. I love the graphic elements there. I like the way the light, the backlit with flash there has created those really cool shadows on the top and the sides and the bottom. So for that, exceptionally well done for high degree of difficulty. There's little spots and highlights on the top that's really letting this down. I found that just that those little finessing points, if you're not paying attention to that, there's also potentially other things missing there too. When you look at the actual pose, certainly we're not going to get a huge amount of emotion from a couple that small in an image, but you look at body language when it comes to posing at that size. When a groom is standing very, very static without any leg bent, it looks static. There's no energy shifting towards the girl that he loves. Also, when a woman is standing that straight with no shifting of the weight one way or the other, it can look also very static. So as I also mentioned yesterday, when a pose is that far away or a couple's that far away, the pose has to be quite relatively pronounced to understand it. So a little bit of a shift would certainly give us a bit more emotion there as well.
Thank you. Kylie, anything to add? You're on 81.
Probably nothing to add. I was awarding 81 for the graphic nature.
Thank you. Andrew?
I'm looking at what Jerry was saying, and thank you for your comments, Jerry. But if we look at what's behind the bride and groom, we have a highlighted area to support the mid-waist and above. Anything below that is probably a dark bush in the background, and even if the groom had put his leg out, it wouldn't have had any motive reasons whatsoever, as it wouldn't have been brought across. However, they've put them in a beautifully balanced doorway and so strategically placed as well, with so much purity in blacks and whites and everything else that supports. We are looking at single capture, and we are looking at if anything above in the ceiling would have been done any differently, the bride and groom would not have been standing out as they are at the moment.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew's score of 85 is locked in. The current score by majority is 79. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to 81, silver award. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. By majority, we have a silver award, 80. And Jerry, a comment?
It's a very risky thing doing something like this. It's quite, it's obviously contrived, but it's actually fun. It's deliciously kitsch, and perhaps if David LaChapelle was to photograph one wedding photograph, this might be it.
Thank you. Next print, please. Can we have a blank screen, please? Thank you. We're just attempting to get the last print to move forward. And it's not doing what we're asking it to do. Do you know how to fix it? A techie? We've got a techie on their way, please. So, no problem. So if you can keep those scores in your mind. I can't do anything about your screen at the moment until we do this. And now, so I think we should have a little chat. Who's avoiding looking at me? Jerry, tell us what you do. Why did I say earlier you're an Aussie but you're living in the US? What's that?
Testing. There we go. Well, I've been traveling to the US back and forth for a long time, since about 2000. I ended up marrying an American / green card. I fell in love with her. It's all good. It's all for the right reasons. We've been living in LA for the past 6-7 years, and we've recently moved to Las Vegas, and it's a sort of a lifestyle choice. We want to spend more time at home and shoot and teach more from home and enjoying life. And I learned that life is much better with pool and pool toys.
Fabulous, as they should be.
It's very true. It's serious. It's a true story. An inflatable unicorn called Drew. I have this rubber ducky that is like twice my size, and her name is Olivia. And we have a bull that you ride, and all your friends have to shake you off it. And his name is Victor the bull.
Right.
He's Russian.
It's Russian,
He's
definitely. Excellent. Lovely. David Oliver. Let's see.
Well, I guess I'm really, really, really lucky. I've got a real bull with is a Highland with the long the hair and the big horns. So, yeah, I've been a wedding portrait photographer for 32 years in Sydney, and I've handed over the baton to my daughter Claire, and now I'm sort of living life up on the farm, and we do workshops up at the farm. We get people coming up and staying with us. And it's interesting. I meet a lot of people, and being able to help now with all the experiences I've experienced over the last 30 years in this industry. Sorry, 40 years, and life's fun.
Lovely.
Still.
Tell us the story of how you started in photography, David.
Perhaps that goes back a long way. It's back to London. Yeah, all the way back to my first job, really. It was in Billingsgate Fish Market in London, and I followed in my father's footsteps. And when I was working there, we'd start at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the old Billingsgate was right on the River Thames, next to Tower Bridge. Beautiful building. And so you this is the 60s, obviously, and you get this mist mixed with smoke, and it was just sensational. The lighting, those really old lights that went along the embankment. It was right on the embankment, cobblestone. So I fell in love with light and mood, and that sort of stayed with me pretty much all throughout my career, really.
And so when did you get your first camera and start recording it?
First camera, that's a good question. I think it was on the boat to Australia. I thought, wow, Cape Town. We went through Cape Town, and I thought, perhaps I'm got to capture some of this. Yeah.
Wow.
We were the 10-pound pops coming out from London, and we came out for a 2-year holiday and decided this place was too good, so we stayed. It was 4 weeks, but it wasn't bad. It was our honeymoon. So we had bunk beds in our cabin.
Nice work.
But no, it was an amazing, experience for 21-year-olds to sort of see Las Palmas in Spain and Cape Town. Cape Town back then was segregated, the blacks and the whites. I saw that Elliot Erwitt famous picture of whites only and blacks in this, like the bathrooms was split in two.
Yeah.
I saw that picture and I'm thinking, wow,
yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah.
So things have changed since.
And so what's been a defining moment in your photography career?
I got to be honest, it's following the Real Masters from Magnum that was the defining moment. John Whitfield King, fell in love with his work, those black and white moments that were captured. I've always enjoyed grungy, real pictures of weddings and portraits. And so the defining moment, I guess, was the meeting with John Whitfield King back in the 80s. And I was lucky enough to win the John Whitfield King 3 times.
Award,
so it was, he was definitely my mentor.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And that's nicely filled in our little gap that we had. And judges. So our judges' screens need refreshing as well. And my very capable assistant, Sarah, may be able to assist. No. Okay, so we'll just ask for a techie to come and look at the judges' screens. My screen has refreshed. And you're in luck, Andrew. There's yours now. So Kylie's on. You're on. We're all on. Okay. So can we have the print, please? And Andrew, because the screens are refreshed, there's no score entered. Thank you. We have an average score of 87, silver with distinction. And So, in fairness to the photo, we have two judges on 95 and 92. So the score will locked in. Andrew, if you don't want to challenge, you don't have to. But okay, but if we can just take a big picture here, view of in fairness to the photo, I applaud you being so gallant as to let Kylie challenge, but her score will get locked in and your score is 95. So if you're happy to accept the challenge, and then we will hear, you've got a 92, 82, 85, 82. So we'll hear from Alan next.
Well, this print for me does have exceptional vision, creativity, innovation and technique, and also the beautiful message that it delivers graphically in the sense.
Turn and face
Turn that way.
the speaker and microphone close. We'll adjust the volume.
Often a print turns, and I try and have a look at it and try and find little faults that go with it. I'm finding very little faults with this image. It's beautifully handled. It has amazing tonality when you walk up to it and beautifully printed. Let alone we have a look at the groom, and some of us must say that he doesn't have much life in him, but where he's standing and the way that he's glowing and his shadows so strategically placed evenly into what supports the background for this gentleman, and the bride has so much beautiful detailed in the print handling of the dress and everything else, and that just let alone they're placed in the correct place on that sheet of paper to deliver the message beautifully. So let's bring this to a gold with distinction.
Thank you. And to Alan?
Yeah, so I agree. Great print. Everything about this is really cool. The thing that's kept me in the silver range is I need something that connects me to the bride and groom. At the moment, there's something blocking, and I can't get the communication that's happening. So if you could bring that for me, I would love to come up.
Thank you. And could we hear from Kylie on 92?
I don't know if I can answer that because there is a big column blocking their way, and I don't want to read into it, but she'll be going through that shortly. For me, though, it was that quality of that image and the black and the white. So we have a dark-skinned groom in the light, and we have a very fair-skinned bride in the dark area. And it's just that complementary black and white that just seems to be working so well with the image. You could read into it that there will be roadblocks in the middle. She's heading towards her groom, but there will be blockages in their way, but they will eventually get to each other. But in terms of quality, that is one of the best printing pictures I've seen this weekend. And the person knows their skill. They knows their skill in printing. And it's just a beautifully composed image. I'm in gold, and I'm sticking there.
Thank you. And we're going to hear from Jerry on 82.
So in the US, and now being popularised lately in Australia, there is a thing called the reveal, where the bride and groom meet each other before they actually get married. This is clear to me that it is a reveal, and I'll tell you why. When I first looked at the shot, I thought, wow, amazing composition, amazing light. When I went closer, print quality is really beautiful as well. I'll come to the point why I gave it an 82, but I'm slowly being convinced. I look at the groom, and the reason why I know it's a reveal is that many photographers are trying to create something new of the reveal. A cliche in the States is where the groom stands there and the bride touches the shoulder and they meet. So many people, including myself, try to do this very, very differently. So looking at the groom, he's very pensive, he's a bit stressed out, he's anxious, he's excited, and it's showing in his body language. So that's what gives that away. So for me, I look at this moment and the bride's walking towards him. And again, I don't know if I'm being petty, I'm trying to get over this pettiness, but the veil looks like it's just been thrown by an assistant, which almost takes the emotion away of that moment that's been created. So Andrew, in your thoughts, if you acknowledge what I'm saying that might be true, which it might not, but it might be true, get me over that line and we'll see how we go.
Thank you. Back to you, Andrew.
I'll get you over that line, Jerry, I promise. Because that's exactly what I looked at. I had a second look at that image and I held off to bring this at this point in time, at this moment. If we have a look at the groom, the way that he's standing, his position, his body language, and if we look at his lips, if you go close and have a look at his lips, he's almost in doubt. as the reveal, as you say, and he's saying, yep, definitely, this is the woman whom I want to marry. And there's so much emotion and so much charged with emotion by the way that she's standing there by herself, thinking, how do I look? Do I look great? She's not moving. She's motionless, yeah? And I believe that could be a wind tunnel that's blowing the veil. We don't know that if it was a particular assistant or anything, but whatever it did, whether it was an assistant or not, I think it's well done and it's beautifully connected.
Thank you. Andrew's score of 95 is locked in. The current average is 87. Judges, having listened to the debate, please rejudge now. And it goes to 92, Gold Award. And it seems like you've made someone quite happy. Well done, judges. And with that fabulous effort, you have also earned morning tea. And please, all of our judging team, be back in the room at 10 past 11. 10 past 11 back in here. Thank you, and we'll see you live streamers and live audience back soon.